equals to 1, that is an integer value, hello, that is string, then you have floating point 0.5. Okay, so that means you can store different types of data over in a list. Okay, you can have a similar type as well as you can mix up all the different types and you can store it, right? So is it possible to store the different data types in a string? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Possible, huh? In a string I am talking about. String x is equals to, I can write like this in a string. How do you store a data in a string? Yes. We have discussed last 2 days, in 2 or 3 classes back. Already now itself we have forgot how the data will be stored in string.
Single quotes.
That is okay, single quote or double quote. I am talking about the data. Characters, right? So each value which you are storing in a string will be a character, right? But here you can store different data types. Not only characters, you can have integer, you can have float. Okay. So in order to write a list, okay, you have to make use of the square bracket operator or a square brackets. Okay. So within the square brackets, you are going to write different data types, different data values. Okay. So if I print x, so I'll be getting the list of values which are stored in a x. Okay. So if I want to access a specific value, you can make use of the index as you have done in a string also. Okay. So you can make use of the index number in order to access the value stored in a list. So x of 2 will give 0.5. Okay. Similarly, x of 1 will give hello. X of 0 is 1. Okay. By using the index, you can extract the particular list items. Okay. So the values which are stored in the list, right? And you can make use of the slicing also. So x of 0 colon 2. Okay. So I'll be getting the values of first two, 1 and hello. Okay. It is almost the operations and all almost similar to strings, right? So lists are mutable. The important property of list is lists are mutable. Okay. So what is the meaning of mutable? Lists are mutable. Whether strings are mutable?
Strings are immutable.
Strings are immutable, right? So what is the meaning of mutable and immutable?
Immutable, once it is initialized, it cannot be changed or modified.
Immutable, yeah. So immutable is you cannot modify the values within the particular data type, right? So in case of a string, so strings are immutable. You can't modify the values within a string. Whereas in case of lists are mutable, so you can modify the values within a list, right? So and all the same subset of operations which are there in the strings can be used in list also, right? So like a string, a list is nothing but it is a sequence of values. Okay, list is basically a sequence of values. Okay, so the inner strings, so the values are characters. Okay, so as I told, so in a string, the values will be only characters, right? Whereas in a list, they can be of any type. They can be of any type. It can be a integer, float, character, string. It can be of any type. The values in a list are normally called as elements, okay, or sometimes it is also called as items. The values which you are storing in a list are called as elements or items of a list, okay. And next, there are several ways, different ways you can create a new list, okay. So the simplest way is you can just use square brackets, okay. Simplest is to enclose the elements, okay. So write all the elements within a square bracket. So 10, 20, 30, 40. So within a square bracket, I am going to write it, okay. Uh, this is a set of integer you are going to store. Similarly, I can have a string also within a square bracket. Right? So you can have integer or a string or a combination of string and integer. Okay. So next, the following is a list containing a string. Okay, so it will contain a string as well as a float and an integer and another list. So if you see here, so what it contains a string, it contains a floating point number 2.0 and integer 5 and another list 10, 20. Okay, so I can write a list within another list. So what do you call this? What do you call a list within another list? Hmm? Yes,
Nested list.
nested list. Okay, so as we have seen, so if some in a loop or in a control statement, right, or a loop, if one statement is within another, so no, normally that is a kind of nesting. Okay, so here also a list can be nested, right? One list can be written inside another, right? If I suppose I want to access the nested list elements, so suppose I want to access 20. Okay, so how do you access? By using the index. So this, it will assign by the starting with a 0. Okay, so this string will be, span will be 0, index 2.0 will be in the first index, 5 is in second, and 10, 20, the entire list is in the third index. Okay, so if I want to access 20, 1 second. Hello. ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಲಾಸ್ಟ್ ಇದೆ, ನಾನು ಮಾಡ್ತೀನಿ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ. Fine. So if I want to access 20, right, so it is L of 3. Okay, so 3 is the index of this list, and since it is nesting, okay, sublist, so L of 3 1. Okay, so within the square brackets you need to mention, so L of 3 1 will going to give the element 20. Okay, so similarly if I give L of 3 0, so I'll be getting 10, right? So whenever you have a list within another list, so you can use the main list index, okay, and the sublist index, right? A list that contains no element, right? Suppose if you have a list which does not have any element within that, then you will be calling it as an empty list, right? So you can create an empty list by using the empty brackets, right? So if you have just empty brackets, then it is an empty list. Okay, so the list does not have any values, right? So as you can assign a list values to our variables. Okay, so that is the thing. They have the whatever we are assigning, right? So the list of value will be assigning to us particular variables, right? So places is equal to some place names I have given here in a list. Okay, then numbers is equals to some integer numbers, then empty, that is empty list. Okay, so whenever you have all the different variations of list, you can print at a time. So print places, comma numbers, comma empty. Then you'll be getting the first places, then numbers, then the empty list. Okay. Fine. Right. So as we have seen the important property. Yes, any doubts till here? Till here, how to create a list and how to mention the list of values in a particular variable, and how do you print and how do you access the list elements by using the index. Yes, any doubts? No doubts?
No, sir. No, sir.
Okay, so lists are mutable, right? So as we have seen, the important feature of lists are mutable. Mutable means you can modify the values. You can change the values with the new values. Okay. So suppose I have a values which I don't want. I want to insert some different values. Then you can do that. Okay. So by just assigning a new value to the existing using the index number. Okay, so the syntax for accessing the elements of a list is same as for accessing the characters of a string. Okay, using the bracket. Okay, we have just now we have seen, right? So if I want to access the particular place name, right? So here in the previous example, places, I have 3 places names: Bangalore, Shimoga, and Hubli, right? So if I give places of 0, so I'll be getting the first place which is stored in the list places. Okay, you can make use of the bracket operator. Within that you can pass the index, right? So lists are mutable. So coming to that point, right? So you can modify the values, right? Lists are mutable because you can change the order of items in a list or reassign an item in a list. Okay, you can modify or reassign a new item or a new value to the list. So numbers is equals to 17, 123. Fine. So now I want to modify 123. Okay, so I want to put some other values. So 5. So numbers of 1 is equals to 5. So if I print numbers, the list, so I'll be getting 17, 5. Is this facility available in string?
No, sir.
No, right? So you cannot simply assign the values in a string. So what will you get in a string if you want to modify it directly? We have seen the similar kind of example in strings also. What it's supposed to give the interpreter?
Type error?
Yes. So you will be getting an error, right? So you cannot assign the values to you cannot modify the values, so you will be getting the error. Okay, so that can be solved in a list. So since these lists are mutable, okay, fine, right? So list indices works the same way as string indices. Okay, So that means any integer expression can be used as an index, right? So you need to have an integer value, integer expression for an index, right? So index should be an integer. You cannot have a float or a string or any character. So integer should be there for our index. If you try to read or write an element that does not exist, okay? So suppose the element is not there in the list, and if you want to read or write, then you will be getting an index error because the particular value is not there with the index, so you'll be getting index error. Okay. If an index has a negative value, so what happens? If an index has a negative value, it will count backward from the end of the list. So in the strings also we have seen, right? Positive indexing and negative indexing. Yes or no? Positive and negative indexing. You can traverse the string in both the ways, right? So similarly, you can traverse the list in negative by using negative index also. Okay, so backward direction. That means from last element to the first element, right? So that is also possible, right? And you can make use of in operator in a list, right? So in operator is basically will results into a Boolean value, right? It can be either a true or a false depending upon the value. Okay, if the value is present in the list, then it is going to return a true, otherwise it is going to return a false. Okay, so here in the example, right? So Bangalore in places, so Bangalore is present in the list places, so it is returning true. So if I give Mysore in places, so it is returning false. Okay, so based on the element, if it is present, it is going to return true or false. Right? Next. Right? Any doubts? So we will move to the next, traversing of a list. Okay, so in the string also we have seen you can traversing by using the looping, right? So here also you can make use of the looping for loop for in order to traverse the elements of a list, right? So just if I want to print or the traverse the list of values, right? So you can make use of the for loop for place in places, print place, and then it is going to print all the list of values which are stored in a place, right? We'll see this with the execution, how exactly it can be done, right? So this will works well if you only need to read the elements of the list. Okay, this for loop with the print is just if you want to read the elements of a list. But suppose if you want to write or update the elements, okay? Suppose I want to do some modification, do some updation of elements, okay? Then you can you need the indices. Okay, so you need to use the indices. So suppose I have a numbers which contains some values. So for each number I want to update it. Okay, so I want a double of the number. So you can do that by using the index and the multiplication with the number which you want. So for I in range, length of numbers, okay, then numbers of I is equals to numbers of I into 2, right? So we'll see how exactly this can be done by seeing an example program, right? So we'll see whether these programs are actually no problem. Right, we'll have a separate. We'll create one more Python Right. First, we will see how exactly the list element values can be written within a list, within a particular list, right? So suppose if you take an example of the places, right? So right, so places is equals to some place name I'll be giving here, right? Bangalore, Delhi, and Hyderabad. Okay, so these are the list names I will be providing, right? So if I just want to specifically, if I want to access a particular value, right? So print. So suppose I want the last value. So places of using the index, that is 2. So print places of 2. I'll be getting the index 2 value, that is Hyderabad. So I'll be getting. Okay. So similarly, if I give 1 over here, so I'll be getting Delhi. Okay. So using the index, you can just access the individual elements, right? And if you just the places, print places, then I'll be getting all the entire list will be gets printed out. Okay. Fine. So next is for loop. So how exactly the traversing can be done, right? So consider we'll take another number. Numbers is equals to, okay, numbers is equals to some numbers 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. Right? So I want to traverse all the numbers. So for num, okay, iteration variable num in numbers, for num in numbers, right? So print num. So this getting the numbers. So I'll be traversing the each values within a list, and I'm able to get. And basically, I'm traversing, and one by one, I'm printing out. Okay, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 by using the loop. Okay. Suppose if I want to modify, the values, right? So as I told, the updation, right? So you can make use of the loop for and the range function for num, right? So range of, so I'll be using a length function here. So length of numbers, right? Then I want to change the individual values, right? So numbers is the list name. So numbers of numbers of the iteration variable is num. So numbers of num is equals to numbers of num into 2. So that means for each element I want to multiply by 2. Okay, and then I want to print the numbers. So we just write it outside. So print numbers. Okay. So error is there for num in range. Okay, in is there. Okay. So let's see here now the output. So first I am taking the list, right? So then for loop for num in range. Okay, so because I need to take from the first element to last So I'll be using the range function here, right? So for the range, you need to pass the total length, the total number of elements. Okay, how many elements are there, right? So that will be done by using the length function, length of numbers. So since we have 5, so 5 will be the value here. Okay. So from 0 to 5, this loop will execute. Okay. So numbers of num, that is numbers, num is the first element. That is numbers of 0 is equals to numbers of 0, that is 10 into 2, 20. Next, numbers of 1 is equals to numbers of 1 into 2, 20 into 2, 40, so on. Okay. So like this, you can modify the list elements, right? Is any doubt in this? Right. So a for loop over an empty list never executes the body. That means if you have an empty list, so ultimately there are no elements in an empty list, so it is not going to execute the body of the loop. Okay. Yes, any doubts? If you have any doubts, you just ask me. Any doubt to create a list, and how do you write a list of elements? How do you access a particular element, and how do you access the entire element, all the elements in a list? And how do you traverse the list of elements, and how do you update? Yes, any doubt? No doubt? You have to ask the doubts. The class should not be one way. Okay, it should be, you should ask some doubts, then it will be interesting. By simply explaining from my end, right? So it will not be so interesting. So if you have any doubts, you just ask. Okay, so then we'll move to the next list operations. Okay, list operations. So what are the different operations you need to perform on a list, right? Why the people are coming at late? Okay, so in another 15 minutes the class is going to end. Don't have any common sense. So I told already. Okay, so you people have to, so 10 minutes plus or minus, that is okay. But if you are joining at the last moment, so what is the use? Simply for the attendance sake you are joining to the particular class. This is not at all good. Okay, so if you really want to attend the class, you just join in the beginning. Why you are joining in the end? Next time I will take out this automatic auto admit. Whoever comes within 10 minutes, I will admit it. Okay, I will not allow after 10 minutes. This is repeating many times. I have told already. If you are joining in last 10-15 minutes, then what's the use? So the list operations are a plus operation. We have the plus operator, okay, and multiplication operator. So as you know that the plus operator is basic operation of plus is which will do the concatenation. Okay, so the plus operator will be used for concatenation, which we have seen in the strings also, right? So if you are applying a plus operator on a toString, then it is going to perform the concatenation. So similarly here also you can make use of the plus operator in order to do concatenation. So A is equal to 1, 2, 3, first list, B is equal to 4, 5, 6. So C equal to A plus B. So if I print C, I'll be getting the output as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so 4, 5, 6 will be added, or added in the sense it will be gets appended to the first list. It is get concatenated. 4, 5, 6 is concatenated to the first list. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so which will be same in the strings also. If you have a string, so the second string is going to append the first string. So in the same way, the list will also perform, right? And one more operator, star operator here. Okay, so the star operator, if you use for a list, right, the star operator is going to repeats a list with a given number of times. So that means, suppose I have a list containing 0. Okay, so if I do multiplication with 4, then the particular list element will be repeated these many times, 4 times. So 0, 0, 0, 0 will be getting. So similarly, if I have a list 1, 2, 3, okay, if I do a multiplication with 3, then all the list values, not only one element, okay, so all the list values will be gets repeated 3 times. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Okay. So if I do a multiplication, then this operator is going to repeat these many times of the list of values. Okay, so the list can contain one value or a two or many values. Okay, so based on the number which you are going to multiply, so those many times the list values will be gets repeated. That is about the multiplication operator. Right, multiplication and plus, right? So we'll move to the next list slices. Okay, so as we have seen in the string, right, so the slicing can be done, right, with different ways. The slicing can be done in different ways. So we'll see it here. In the strings also we have seen, right? So here also the same thing, right? So the slice operator also works on a list. So T is equal to A, B, C, D, E, F, right? So if I want to specifically access the sum of the elements, so 1, 2, 3 if I give, right, then I'll be getting the elements from 1 to till 3, okay, excluding 3. So 0, 1, 2, 3. So 2 and 1 and 2, whatever the element, that will be gets printed out. Okay, so the 3 will not be included in the list, right, whenever you do the slicing. So similarly, you can skip the starting index. So if I skip the starting index, that is a beginning, then I'll be getting the list from the beginning. Okay, the T colon. Okay, so 4. That means I'm not mentioning the first part. So it will take the elements from the beginning. So A, B, C, D till the till the 4. Okay, so 4 will not be included. So that means 0, 1, 2, 3. So A, B, C, D will be gets printed out. Then next, if I can leave the second part ending. So my list should start with the 3 and till the last. So 3 to last. Okay, 0, 1, 2, 3. So 3 is D till the last. So DEF will be gets printed. Right, so you can omit the first starting part or at the beginning, or you can omit the second part, okay, or you can omit both the things. So if I omit the starting and ending, then you'll be getting the entire string. Okay, so if I just have a colon within the bracket, I'll be getting the entire list. All right. And you can use a slice operator on the left side of an assignment, we will update multiple elements. Okay, so if I want to update with new values, you can do by using the slice operator on the left, and you can have a multiple elements with assignment, right? Suppose T1 to 3, 1 to 3, I want to modify with x and y. So T of 1 colon 3 equal to x comma y. That means 1 to 3 is nothing but B and C, right? So B and C will be assigned with the x and y. So if I print the list T, so I'll be getting A, X, Y, D, F. Okay. Fine. So I'll just execute these simple examples here with the slicing. So list T is equals to, okay, so list T is equals to, let have some values 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, right? Then if I want the slicing, right, so print T from 1 to 4, okay, so 1 to 4 are what values I'll be getting? 20, 30, 40, okay? So if you want, you can just increase some other values, right? If I print T from, so if I just leave the first part, and if I give the second part, okay, so colon 6, so what will be the list output now? T colon 6.
10, 20, 30, 40, 50,
50, 60.
60, right? So till the fifth index, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so total 6. Till 60 I'll be getting. Okay, so next if I do print of T, I start with the 2 colon. So what I'll be getting now?
30, 40, 50, 60, 70.
70. Okay, so till the last. So from second element till the last element. Right. So if I give just a colon within a bracket, so then I'll be getting
10 to
the entire list. Okay, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60. Right. So these are the different variations you can make use of with the slicing, right? And you can do this thing also. Okay, so assignment is also possible with the new values with us. So suppose T is equal to A, B, C, D, E, F, and if I want in place of B and C, I want X and Y. So you can, in the left hand side, you can use a slicing. So T 1 to 3. So 1 to 3 is BC. That those elements I am assigning with X and Y. Okay. So if I print T now, I'll be getting the list A, X, Y, D, F. You can do, you can modify the values in the one line itself. Fine. So next is taking every nth element of a list. Suppose I have a list, right? So I don't want the in a sequence. That means so suppose I want with a difference of 2. I have this list. So first I want to print 10, then 30, then 50. I want the odd numbers. Only the only the odd numbers places the elements of list. Then you can go for another option in a slicing. Okay, another option. So what we want to have only every second element of nums. Okay, nums is nothing the variable name here. Okay, so this can be done by using the step parameter. Okay, so step parameter is one of the important in a slicing. So that will decide the difference of values which you want to have in a list. Okay, so suppose nums is equals to 10, 20, 30 up to 90, right? So if I give colon 2, okay, so 2 is nothing but the step size. So the normal syntax of the slicing is list name. Okay, list name, you will have a starting, start and end. That is the normal. Okay, so the one more option you can add is step size. Okay. So on what is the step size you are going to mention? So based on that, the list will do the slicing. So see here, so nums colon. So as you know that, so if I am not mentioning starting and ending value, so obviously it will display all the values, right? And if I mention the step size as 2, then it will pick the numbers of every second element. Okay, every second. First 10 will be there, then after this 30, 50, 70, 90. Okay, so the step size can be used in order to print the numbers based on the steps. If it is 3, then 10, 30, 40, okay, 70, that will be done. So I'll show this by the execution. So here nums is equals to this the list of values, right? So if I make use of the step size, right, so print of nums, right? So if I just give if I'm not mentioning starting, ending, and with the step size 2, then I'm getting the output as 10, 30, 50, 70, 90. Right? So similarly, you can, if I give step size as 3, so what will be the output now? So 10, then 40, 70. Okay, so this is the output with if it is step size is 3. Right? Next. So in the previous, we have omitted the starting and stopping. Okay. So if, in the next example, I'll be providing the start. Okay. By providing start, we can skip some of the elements. We can skip some of the elements. Suppose I don't want the first, I need to start, I need to skip some of the elements. So that means I want to begin from 1, okay, with a difference of 2. So then, so print nums. Now I want to start from 1, okay, then colon and till the end, and with a step size of 2. Okay, now if I do this, so my list will start with 20 and with a difference of 2. Okay, so 20, 40, 60, 80 will be gets printed. Fine. So 20, 40, 60, 80. And if you don't want to include some elements at the end, okay, this is at the beginning. If you don't want to have at the beginning, if you don't want to have some elements at the end, then you can do that. You can add the stop parameter. You can add the stop or the end value, right? So nums 1 minus 3, 2. 1 minus 3, 2. Okay, so as you know that you can mix up the positive and negative index. You can mix up freely, but the element should exist. So it should start with 1 and go, it should go till minus 3 and with a difference of 2, with a step size of 2. So if I do this, I'll be getting 20, 40, 60. So see here, so print of nums, it should start with 1, okay, it should go till -3 and with the step size of 2. So which is what is -3? Which is the element till? This is -1, -2, -3. That is 70. Okay, so -3 is 70. So it is starting with 1, that is 20, then 40 and 60 is the output. Okay, so till 70, so 70 will not be considered. So 20, 40, 60. Right? So use the negative step and reverse list. Okay, this is the another okay, so using the negative step, okay, we have seen the positive step, right? The step size is positive in the previous example. So you can make use of the negative step also in order to reverse a list. Okay, so if I make use of the negative step size, then you'll be getting the reverse list. So we'll see how exactly. So nums, the same example. So if I give colon -1, right? So I'll be getting the reversed list, 90, 80, 70, so on up to 10. So negative steps changes the way the slice notation works. So it makes the slice built from tail of the list. Okay, so that means it will built from tail of the list. Tail means the end of the list, and it will go in till the beginning. Okay, so due to this property, okay, whenever you use the negative step size, right, so due to this peculiarity, start and stop should be provided from right to left as well, right? So if you see the below example, right, if you want to have a reverse list which starts from 80, then you can do like this, from right to left, with a negative index, -2 colon, it should go till the first, and it should be reversed. So 80, 70, 60 till the beginning. Okay. So this can be done with the negative step size. So if you see here, so this is my list, right? So nums print nums colon -1. If you just write this, so you'll be getting the reverse list. Okay. If I want to start with some value, so you can mention -3 colon -1. So it will start from -3 until the first, -1, -2, -3. That is 70 till the beginning. Okay. You can do. This is about the negative step. So you can have a positive step that will go in a forward direction, negative step in the backward direction. Yes, any doubts? Any doubts?
No, sir. So, can you just share the notes of the second chapter? I mean, strings notes.
Huh?
Strings notes. So.
Yeah, I'll share. Today I'll share it.